Tree Talking Time is brought to you by Conkey's Outdoors and Stone Creek Hound Supply. Be sure to check them out for all your hound hunting needs.
Welcome to Tree Talking Time, where we talk all things tree dogs, from the smallest feists to the largest hounds, treating squirrels to bears and everything in between. And from time to time, we might even run a little fast game.
Well, my name is Wesley Pinglton, and I am 36 years old. And I grew up coon hunting with my dad and my grandpa and my brother. It's kind of a family thing. The Pinglton name, there's so many coon hunters on many sides of the Pinglton family. My grandpa's brothers, my dad's brothers, it's just a lot of us coon hunted. And I got my start at a very, very young age. Dad has been a lifelong coon hunter, and I think Dad would rather coon hunt as to eat when he's hungry. That's how much he absolutely loves coon hunting. And I can remember, Dad tells this story all the time, we got into mule riding, and very enjoyable, and Dad loves coon hunting, so we put two and two together. We would go coon hunting and ride the mules up the mountains to the trees. And Dad can remember me and my brother. My brother's about 4.5 years older than me. And we would double ride a mule that was named Old Blue.
Nice.
And I was a little bitty feller. I'm probably like 5 or 6 years old at the time. We're double riding the mule. And I am holding on to my brother for dear life when we would go up the mountains. And I was always scared of going down the mountains for whatever reason.
Well, yeah.
And I was more scared of going down than I was up. And I can remember we was coming down a very steep mountain after we had been riding. And my worst fear came to pass, but it wasn't with my mule. It was with a friend of ours named Elmer. As he was going down the mountain, his saddle came unlatched from underneath the horse, the belly strap. And he done a head tumble over the mule's head. The saddle and all went with him, and he rolled about 3 times and somehow landed on his feet.
Holy smokes.
I'll never forget that. And about that same time, I believe it was either before or after, it could have been the same time, but Dad had a horse that was basically crazy at times. This horse, or not horse, but mule, this mule would lose its mind from time to time. And we were coming down the mountain and had the dog leash strapped around the saddle horn of the mule. And that mule always knew when we were getting close to home, and it knew where its stable was. So without any warning, this mule just takes off. And Dad wasn't on the mule at the time. He was off the mule. This mule takes off with the dog's leash wrapped around the horn, and it's dragging the dog.
Oh,
and we're talking probably, I'm going to say it was a half a mile or better down this hill with rocks and briars and all kinds of things, and drags that dog all the way to the barn, to the stable. And when we get there, that dog is laying lifeless on the ground. We thought it was dead. I mean, it was just horrible. And Dad pushed on the dog's belly a little bit, and then the breath came back within him. He started breathing. The dog was okay after that. But that's how I got my start with coon hunting, was mule riding and coon hunting.
I bet that dog didn't like going anywhere near that mule again.
No, he was mule shy for a while.
I would imagine so.
Yeah.
So you got your start doing what all of us other coon hunters, we romanticize about. We think this, this grand idea of coon hunting off of a mule, and you got to do it. That's pretty cool.
Yes, sir.
Because I don't know about Zach, but that's kind of, I think it'd be pretty cool to coon hunt off of a mule.
You could definitely get into places that you normally couldn't get in with the mule.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big fan of horses, and I can't say I've really rode a mule very much. I'm pretty tall, so I feel pretty awkward when I'm on a horse or a mule or anything like that. So I don't know, but it does seem interesting.
Might not work so well down there in the swamp either, huh?
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. No one does it.
But the reason we have you on here tonight, Wesley, is to talk about your app. Well, apps now. Because you just launched your squirrel hunting app today or yesterday, right?
I did. Apple approved that early in the AM this morning, so it's out there as well.
Awesome. So that is Coon Hunter Diaries and Squirrel Hunter Diaries, if I'm correct, right?
That is correct.
So where did this idea come from?
Okay, so the last few years at my job, I'm an engineering manager for a Sahi Bluegrass Forge. We make automobile parts, and in a production setting, you have to be very organized. Schedules, reports, it's just a lot of computer work.
Mm-hmm.
And I got into computer programming a few years ago in Microsoft Excel, the back end being Visual Basic. I also got into Python computer language. A friend of mine that I work with is very tech savvy in Python language, and he got me to using that, and he was just kind of an influence to me what you could actually do with a computer. And I was just sitting around one day, and I was thinking, well, I like reading the Bible, and I like computer programming. I wonder if I could put two and two together, so I started working on this Bible app that you could search scriptures through the Bible, instantaneously take you there, show you all instances that word or key phrase appeared, and it's called Bible Keyword Search. And I had made plans to create this app. I had the idea, I just really couldn't put it together because I had never made a application before like that through a cell phone.
Yeah.
And so I bought the Mac computer, like $1,300 out the gate. Me not even knowing the Swift language at all, just having high hopes. I bought a tutorial course on udemy.com about Apple programming through Swift code and Xcode. And I started there, and I got discouraged with it. I'm like, I can never do this. This is too difficult. I can't get this to work right. It's just crazy. How does anybody ever get anything? And it went probably for 10 months, and then it came back to me again, and maybe it was the good Lord speaking to me. I don't know. But you need to get that Bible app idea that you had and work on it. So I worked on that and trial and error using artificial intelligence, the Chat GPT. Don't know if you guys have ever heard of that. It's pretty cool software. So I'm just breaking code, getting it to work sometimes, breaking, getting it to work. And then finally, I had an application that was actually working through all the trials through my computer and through my testing and things like that. So I submitted it to Apple. Fingers crossed. I'm like, I actually got something submitted. If they never accept it, at least I got that far.
Mm-hmm.
And a few hours later, they came back and they rejected it. I'm like, oh man, what have I done, wrong for them to reject it? All it was, I had a picture that displays my app. It was truncated and shrunk, and it was just kind of like not a true picture of what they wanted for their app store. That's all it was. It wasn't the code. It was just the display image. So I fixed that, resubmitted it. A few hours later, they accepted it. So at this point, I've got this like crazy enthusiasm that I actually submitted an app. They accepted it. I can go to the app store now, and my name as the developer is on there. So I told all my friends, aggravated everybody on Facebook probably for a solid 2 months about it. And then, people were talking, oh, that's the guy that made the Bible app. And I use that Bible app all the time, but I'm getting to the point that I want to make something else. Like, there's the Bible app, but I want to do something else. I want to target a different audience, or maybe target an audience that reads the Bible and hunts too,
Mm-hmm.
And my dad came to my mind, and I actually called him one night and texted him and presented my idea, and he thought it was a good idea, but he's like, there's just, there's things out there, and I don't know if it could compete very well. So I researched just to make sure. And there's a lot of maybe things on the web that talk about coon hunting and things like that, but I could not find any applications on the web that was strictly designed for coon hunting.
Yeah.
So the bells and the lights start going in my mind. I'm like, if there's nothing out there, people's going to be interested if I can come up with something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because if you do a Google search on Coon Hunter Diaries right now, it's the first thing that pops up on Google, and that's the World Wide Web.
Yep.
First thing that pops up is Coon Hunter Diaries. I start working on this. I get ideas from Dad because Dad's been a lifelong coon hunter. I knew the lingo, but not as good as him. You know, that's one way I was able to develop this because I've been around it so long. Basically, you know, cut my teeth in the woods, and I started trying all these things like I did with the Bible app, breaking code, getting code to work, and then it breaking again, trying to fix bugs, this and that. But at this point, just a little bit of another backstory, I'd already created another app too for like people that have their own business for like customer scheduling and things like that.
Okay.
So I was starting to learn the Apple lingo. I was starting to learn what they wanted in an app. Well, I get a very simplistic, stripped down version of Coon Hunter Diaries ready for review and submittal, and they accepted the first time. They didn't reject it for anything. So they put it straight on the market. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm starting to learn what they're wanting.
Yeah.
And every time that I've updated it now, Ben, I've never had a rejection yet. Maybe that's going to come one of these days, but they've not rejected any update that I've done.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I've gained their trust, and, you know, I'm learning the lingo for them, what they want. And I'm getting all these messages all the time, you know, asking, well, can you do this? Can you do that? And I always tell people, within reason, I'll try to do it.
Conkey's Outdoors is proud to be a sponsor of Tree Talking Time. Family, hunting, tradition is the Conkey's motto. They understand the importance of passing down the tradition of hound hunting. They are a family-owned business that treats you like family. They also understand the importance of having the gear you need when you need it. Conkey's carries everything for your next hunt, and it ships to your door quick. They also offer great warranties on all tracking systems and financing options. Check them out at conkeys.com. You can also use the code TreeTalkingTime5 in all caps to save as well. Mm-hmm.
You know, this is a hobby of mine. This is a thing I do on the side. I'm working 50 hours a week at the plant, so it's really tough doing that, playing in the worship band at church, you know, being a husband, being a son, things like that. But it's getting to the point now that I feel like not just me, because everybody's involved in this. Everybody that's gave me just a good idea, bad idea, whatever, we're all involved in this. And I think we've took something and we've developed something that is really going to help coon hunters from now to ages to come, because, you know, the world has went electronic. I love paper. Sure. I love pencil. But we're in an electronic age, and being able to have your cell phone in the woods and log everything that you do inside the woods and have it saved forever, you know, that's pretty powerful in my opinion.
Yeah. No, like I was telling you, I bought a journal for logging my hunts, one of the Houndsman journal that kind of came out a couple years ago, with all good intentions of filling it out, and I have never put anything in it. Where this, you know, it's in my pocket, so it's a lot easier. Like last night, I just used it last night for the first time. I pulled it out while I was in the woods. I selected my dog, you know, and start putting in where I'm at and what I'm doing, and the end of the hunt, it was real easy. Finish up and hit save, and voila, and there it is.
That's awesome, brother.
But I wouldn't have known anything about it if it wasn't for Zach. And even then, you know, I'm skeptical. I probably would have waited, but Zach was like, no, it actually works pretty good. So, Zach, why don't you talk about your experience with it?
Yeah.
Since you've played with it more, because like I said, I used it last night for the first time.
Yeah. So I guess basically as soon as I saw, I guess Wesley had posted in a group about the app, I said, I'm going to download this thing. And I'm, you know, I'm always looking forward to new technology that has to do with coon hunting, and, you know, that could be a game changer. And I gave it a shot. And, you know, I told Corey and my grandfather there at the store about it. I said, download this thing and let's start playing with it and see what's going on. And my grandfather, he's always said, one thing about coon hunting, and one of the most important things is to be honest with yourself and honest about what your dogs are doing. And this app, I mean, it really hits a nail on the head. I mean, you can put in your weather, see how your dogs are hunting in, certain conditions. I thought I was going to keep a pen and paper journal too of what my dogs were doing, but I don't like math. Carrying a notepad around in the swamp is also a terrible idea. But I always have my phone, in just case of emergency, and I'm always filming things. So this app was very needed, and I think Wesley hit the nail on the head talking about searching for things. And I've talked about this a lot on your podcast and some other places about sick of message forums and things like that. And I know people still love them, but that's the old school way. And so I gave it a shot, and I been really impressed. And when I said I don't like to do math, this thing, you hunt 3 or 4 nights, it calculates what your dog's doing, shows you how many coons you find, how many slick trees you make, shows a percentage. So it keeps you honest. If you're honest with the app, it keeps you honest. Mm-hmm. And he also mentioned, it's all of us putting things in this app. Anytime, I've reached out to Wesley, and he's always got ideas. He heard from somebody they wanted this and that, and he's always adding stuff. I mean, he's got maps where you can mark your truck. The timer's a big thing. I don't use a stopwatch. I like the app on my phone that keeps the time, or my watch, but he's got that built in the app where you can, keep multiple times. One thing I didn't love is expenses, because now I know how much money I'm spending on this.
I said the same thing.
That's a great thing too, to be true to yourself and figure out what you're doing. But, I mean, it's even got a coon squaller that, my dogs went up on a big, where the loggers had piled up a bunch of wood and they were barking and stuff. I even put it down that hole and tried to squall a coon out with the app, because I didn't want to put my face in there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's actually, and that's the thing, I'll message him at 1 or 2 at night after I'm done hunting. He messaged me earlier, and I'm the worst about checking messages until, I'm relaxing, I guess, just because I do it all day at work. But he'll be up at 2 a.m. working on this thing, submitting changes, and it's ever evolving. And I reached out and I said, hey, how do we sponsor you? And I feel like we're blessed, as far as Conkey's Outdoors, to be involved in this on the ground level, because I think it's just going to keep getting better and better.
Yeah. So what are some of the suggestions you've had from like your first version to what it is now, like from users?
Okay. First of all, I want to say that I really appreciate Ben, and I appreciate Zach and his family. They have really helped me with this. When they make posts on their site, on their Facebook page, it's, Conkey's. If you're a hunter, you've heard of Conkey's. Mm-hmm. And they've helped tremendously. So I just wanted to extinguish a great thank you to Zach and his family, and you, Ben, with what you do too. I think it's awesome. But when we first submitted this, it was a stripped down version of what it is now. Okay, so the original design was just allowing a user to create dog profiles. If they have 5 dogs, they can put 5 different dogs in there, have their name, put their age, put their breed, put their register type if they're registered, just basic stuff like that. And then I guess the core foundation of the app is being able to track your dog's performance and its precision and accuracy on a number of trees, number of coons, slick trees, circle, couldn't find, off game, treeing possums or whatever. And that was the core intent of the app. And people started messaging me like, this is really cool. It's awesome to be able to track that kind of stuff, but could you add maybe something else like this or that? And people started requesting the stopwatch pretty quick, the competition hunters. They would say, well, I have 4 stopwatches around my neck in the woods, or you've got the guy that's timing the hunt. Maybe he's the only one that's looking at the times. And some of the hunters wanted to get to the point to where they could discreetly time it themselves and not have 4 stopwatches around their neck that they could pull their phone out. If you've got dog A, B, C, and D, they're all individual stopwatches that work independently of each other, but simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
And people requested that so that they could track those times of when they first strike and tree and things like that. And then people, they began to ask, well, I would like to be able to track not only my expenses, what I spend in coon hunting, but I would like to also show money that I make.
Yeah.
Be it winnings or you sell a dog for such and such amount, things like that. Because it's not all about expenses. There's some profits involved with some people in coon hunting. People that do this for a living or have kennels or whatever. They're wanting to churn a profit, and then some wanted to use that for tax purposes and things like that they could show their tax person at the end of the tax year. And then it went from that to the scorecard. People started messaging me about, I want to be able to way to not only track what my dog scores in a hunt, like in real time, but I also want to see the other three guys' dogs or how many ever is in your cast that particular night. I want to be able to see what those dogs are doing and keep track of it in case somebody makes a mistake or the scorecard gets thrown in a river or the dog eats it or something, So that came about to where people could name each dog individual scorecard. They can even put the handler's name in there. And it's so easy to track the score on that one. You basically, when it comes time to add the tree, you can say 125, the next tree plus 125, the next tree maybe they minus 75 or whatever. And it does that for tree and strike. And you can also put circle in there. And at any time, you can see the results for all dogs, what their cumulative total is, and it takes the minus out with the plus, and it doesn't count the circle in the overall score, but you can still see that. And at the end of the night, if you want to send that text to somebody of every dog that was in your cast, it shows all of the totals, tree and strike, be it minus, be it plus, and circle, and you can send that via text message.
Nice.
What I would really like to happen, if we could ever get it to that point, I would love to get UKC, PKC on board to where we could maybe, a guy by the name of Ray out of New York, he suggested, and he had a dream that, wouldn't it be cool if we could have like real-time live scores that people could get on the web or somewhere and actually see some of the best dogs in the areas? Like, man, that's so cool. That's a little bit above my skill set right now. But you know what? If we could get the right people involved, we could make it happen.
Yeah.
And so it went from that, and then just some minor stuff like the GPS. It's not a GPS for dogs or anything like that yet. I mean, Apple sells a dog collar that you can connect to your phone. So maybe we could get it to that point someday where you could track, because I'm not trying to compete with Garmin's and things like that. This was all just little add-on stuff.
Yeah.
That's why I went the route of being able just to drop a pin for your truck, drop a pin for yourself, see how many feet or hopefully not miles that you are away from your truck and things like that. And then the cool thing about that is it's all integrated through Apple Maps. You can see a satellite view. If you don't know the terrain of the land, you can drop a pin and then hit satellite view, and you can see Apple's satellite view of that land terrain. So you can see tree lines or if there's water around you. It's kind of a safety thing, If you don't know the terrain, you can get a good feel for what the terrain is because you're in the dark.
Yeah.
And it went from that and just a few minor things that people have requested. Well, I would like to be able to track this, or I would like to be able to track that. And one thing was the individual competition results. Let's say you're taking your dog to all these hunts this year. Well, you can track all the placements and all the wins, the type of hunt that it was, and you can quickly see all of your dog's top 10 finishes. It's been an ongoing thing. People, I make this update and they say, I really like that update, but could you do this? And I always say, within reason, and as I get time, I will try to fulfill requests.
Yeah. You, actually, I did not even notice the multiple dog scorecard. But actually, I just saw today on Facebook somebody asking about, it was something John Strickland said, and he said it on my podcast a couple weeks ago, but then he has also said it other places about how he keeps track of those scores during the hunt. And heck, you just made it way easier by being able to use this app Because like Zach said, you got to sit there and do math in your head, even if you're writing it down. But with this, as long as you're inputting it in, you generate results, and voila, it does the math for you. So I think that's great.
I've walked to several trees, during the middle of a hunt and been like, well, what do I need here, or what does the dog need to do here, or this and that. But I mean, like I said, I hate math. This app right here, I mean, I forgot about the competition, the multiple dog that was just added. But that, I mean, it's great. I mean, the sky's the limit with a lot of this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, what's the difference between the Coon Hunting Diaries and the Squirrel Hunter Diaries?
Okay, so the Squirrel Hunter Diaries, its core foundation is very similar to what Coon Hunter Diaries does. It's all about dog performance, how your squirrel dog is performing, or squirrel dogs if you have more than one. It is a stripped down version, but it does have some different things that Coon Hunter Diaries doesn't have yet. One cool thing that I designed on Squirrel Hunter Diaries, instead of just inputting the dog's age, you input his or her birth date, and it automatically calculates its age every time that you look in there.
Okay.
So if it was born, on this day 3 years ago, and one day, when you open that up, it's going to say that, your Feist dog by the name of Smokey is 3 years and 1 day old.
Okay.
So that's a cool little added feature. Another thing that I added with Squirrel Hunter Diaries is not only does it track all of your dog's performance, but there's a competition inside of it that it has a leaderboard, and it shows you all of your dogs that you have logged. Mm-hmm. It gives a leaderboard and which one is winning in that category of, slick treeing or treeing a squirrel, or an off game, or catching the squirrel by mouth, or something like that. It shows all your dogs, and it shows if they're tied or not for that particular category.
Yeah.
So, if you've got dog Smokey winning in slick trees, Smokey's the dog that needs a little work.
Yeah.
So that is an added feature with Squirrel Hunter Diaries that Coon Hunter Diaries doesn't have. And being my goal is to not really add every single thing that I have in Coon Hunter Diaries, because Coon Hunter Diaries is already out there. I would love to see people use both apps.
Okay.
Because it has certain features in Coon Hunter Diaries that Squirrel Hunter Diary people would love to use too. And if you do both of them, you can have your expenses, because you can name what your expense is. If it's squirrel related, you can say it's squirrel related in that expense report.
Mm-hmm.
I would like people to use both, because it's going to be tough for me to add everything in the Squirrel Hunter Diaries because it takes so much time sometimes. But as time goes, I will try to do some of that per people's request. But I would like to see people, because a lot of squirrel hunters, they coon hunt as well, vice versa. A lot of coon hunters squirrel hunt.
Yeah.
And the price of both of those together, Squirrel Hunter Diaries is half the price of Coon Hunter Diaries. And with the ability and the capability that, let's say, Coon Hunter Diaries gives you, it's very cheap with what it can do.
Oh, yeah. Well, while you're talking price, why don't you just say what these apps cost currently?
Okay, so currently for iOS platform, the Coon Hunter Diaries is a one-time fee of $5.99.
Mm-hmm.
And the Squirrel Hunter Diaries is a one-time fee of $2.99.
Okay.
And every time I update it, Zach is a prime example. I've updated this thing so many times, and he's not paid anything else. He paid that one-time fee, and he's got all the updates that I've updated free of charge.
Mm-hmm. Good.
And it's well worth the $3 and the $6 you pay. I mean, I'm bad about downloading apps on my phone, then forgetting to cancel the subscription or hitting me the next month. But the one time fee, I don't have to do anything. The only thing I do is check and see if there's any updates available, and it's nice. I mean, it's worth the money.
Yeah. Stone Creek Hound Supply, a family-operated business, boasts over 50 years of involvement in hounds. For over 2 decades, they've been dedicated to supplying high-quality hound gear. Their reputation is founded on unparalleled quality and exceptional customer service. Crafted from U.S. source materials, Stone Creek clothing is meticulously manufactured right here in Pennsylvania. Through their commitment to excellence, many of their customers have become lifelong friends.
I guess one thing that I'll need to mention, we're working on an Android version. Okay.
Okay.
Now, I've hired some professional coders for this one, and it's probably going to be pretty special. So some of the pricing may be different on that.
Okay.
I'm trying to get some things to actually separate it from iOS. So, because I don't want people thinking, well, that's unfair. I have to pay this for this one and pay this for that one. I'm not trying to do anything like this one, but the Android, it's breaking the bank. I mean, I literally had to give $4,500 to this company just to have a conversation on the phone, just to let them know what I was interested in.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But they're going to make that one really special. I'm going to try to, and maybe eventually I can learn from what they do on that app, because they are professionals. Mm-hmm. And hopefully I can maybe infiltrate some of that in the Coon Hunter Diaries. And, long-term pricing, if I've done my research correctly, let's say Coon Hunter Diaries does change in price, the people that already have that app, that'll never change for them. They've got it for life.
Okay.
If I've researched that correctly. So, I mean, I just think we're at a foundation still. Like, I don't even think we've not put the roof on the house yet, what
Mm-hmm.
this thing could do.
Oh, yeah.
And I've had so many messages about Android, like, when's it coming out for Android? And I feel bad in saying that I am not an Android coder, and I've tried, and it's just a foreign language to me. And I always tell them I'm trying to find people to do it. I tried to find some independent people, and I've not had any luck, really. And I just reached out to a place in Texas and that do this for a living. I showed them what I had, and they were like very impressed. They were thinking, "Do you do this for a living, or what?" I was like, "No, I don't even consider myself a programmer when it comes to this. A lot of trial and error, a lot of sleepless nights, and we got something that works. And I just need the Android people. I'm tired of them feeling left out. I want to get something for them. So they're currently working on
it. If you're going to go pick the Android platform, I mean, you're already behind the times. So, I mean, just saying. Apple's where it's at, and that's where it's been at for a long time. So,
no comment.
I'll make a bunch of people mad. That's all right.
A lot of our customers
have cell phones.
So.
Blue letters. That's all I gotta say. Blue letters. You got green letters. I ain't got time for you.
Heard that,
man. But no, I think it's really cool. I'm really excited to use it some more, and we'll see how my culls stack up. I mean, I'm not saying I'm willing to share, because my dogs I might have more slick trees than Coon's seen, so I don't want to say I'm going to share my stats, or my dog's stats, but maybe Zach will.
I'm about to go out right now here as soon as this phone call's over and use the app, and probably not share it either. So,
well, Wesley, where can people find more information on this? I know you've got a Facebook group. I mean, is that where people should go if they've got questions or anything?
Yeah, they can go to even the squirrel hunter guys and girls. They can go to that Coon Hunter Diaries, because it's a platform of social media that I don't care to answer any questions about on there. They can go to the Coon Hunter Diaries on Facebook. You can just type in Coon Hunter Diaries and it'll pop up. Or if you want to go straight to the App Store, you can type in Coon Hunter Diaries. And Apple's learning my algorithm now, and I guess where I've been typed in so many times, you can start typing in Coon Hunter, and it's going to pop up.
Yeah.
Coon Hunter Diaries.
I found
and that's a good thing. That's a good thing for all of us. That helps me and it helps everybody else, because the more downloads we get and the more cash flow, the more I can invest and spend time into making it better,
Yeah.
And if you want to go to the App Store, you can type that in. I have this huge description of basically everything the app does. Got some pictures of the app that shows what it does and things like that. But probably the best way is either reach out to me personally via Messenger, or you can go to the Coon Hunter Diaries Facebook page and you can ask your question. If I don't answer it, I'm sure somebody will.
Awesome. Well, unless you guys have anything else, like I said, I don't know enough about it with me having limited experience, so I'm blown away by it. I'm excited to use it more. But otherwise, I think we've kind of covered a lot of the things features that you have in the app. So
Yeah, and I wanted to give a few shout outs because some of the
yeah,
people that I know I'm going to forget some people because it's just been humbling, Ben, because I've had people message me from, New York, Texas, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, Missouri, Tennessee, and it just all starts to roll together after a while. But it's been awesome to meet people electronically and
yeah,
text messages, and I've actually had a few phone calls too. But some people that I really want to mention, Jared Wilgus, he's had some killer ideas. Maybe you guys have heard of that name on some of the Facebook groups. He loves to coon hunt. But Jared Wilgus, you've got Colton Ingram. I've had a conversation with him. He had a lot of good ideas. I think her name is Alex Arringer, something like that. She's been very helpful in this process. Ray out of New York, he's had some great ideas. Eric Bowling, he's a PKC guy here in Kentucky. He's allowed me to come to some of the hunts and set up and display the app. Doug Johnson, which I believe is the Kentucky Houndsman Director / President here in Kentucky.
yep,
He allowed me to come to an event and set up and talk about the app. So there's just been so many people. Another guy by the name of Doug here in Kentucky, he makes coon squallers. He gave a shout out on his one of his Facebook posts. And I've just had a lot of people help me. Ben, what you're doing with me tonight, it's so it's humbling, and I appreciate it so much that you guys are reaching out to me about this. Zach and his family, they keep making Facebook posts about the app. He made this cool banner. I mean, Zach is very talented when it comes to making these ads and banners on
absolutely.
the internet. I mean, they looked awesome. I seen it, my mouth dropped. I'm thinking, this guy's, this is cool stuff that he's making and putting out there.
It is.
So,
He made me have to become a graphic designer because he was making all these killer designs and graphics, and I'm like, really, Zach? I got to compete with that, and I got to have my stuff look better. And I've had to learn, and then I'm asking him questions. I'm like, how in the world do I do this? So,
Yeah, y'all are too kind. I'm just a high tech redneck.
Hey, that's what we all are. We're just guys that grew up in the woods and try to use what God give us, to try to help and influence other people. Probably the biggest shout out I want to give is to my dad, Donnie Pinglton. Don't know if you guys have ever heard the name, but he loves to coon hunt, and he's had some top level dogs, and he's had dogs that probably couldn't tree a coon if their life depended on it. But
I think every
he's
coon
really
hunter has.
exactly. He has really reached out to people about this app because he's proud of it, I guess, because I'm his son. But Dad's love of coon hunting is really what influenced me the most to do this. I wanted to give back to the sport that Dad has just loved doing so much. So, Dad, I'm sure he'll listen to this. I greatly appreciate him for that.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate Zach coming on, like I said, because he's the one that told me about it. So I appreciate both of you guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us, Ben.
Glad to be here. Thank you, guys.
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Tree Talking Media. And until next time, keep them talking in the timber.